Hello, and welcome to The Parallel Path. The Parallel Path is a monthly podcast from the marketing team at Parallel Ag, bringing real conversations from across the agriculture industry. In each episode, we will sit down with equipment experts, service professionals, industry leaders, and farmers to talk about the challenges, innovations, and decisions shaping modern agriculture. From iron and uptime to technology and market trends, the Parallel Path focuses on the people and ideas that keep farms moving forward. Today's episode is all about precision. Precision technology is changing faster than just about anything else in ag, and it can be tough to know what actually matters for your operation versus what just sounds good. We're sitting down with our new Director of Precision Technology, fresh off his time with AGCO's PTX team, to talk about where the industry is headed, what he's building with the Parallel Ag Precision team, and what customers should really be paying attention to right now. Shawn, thank you so much for joining us today. But before we dive into any of the precision stuff, can you give us a quick version? Who are you? Where did you grow up? And how did you end up in ag?
Yeah, so my name is Shawn Meyer. As she said, I'm the Director of Ag Technology here at Parallel Ag. Started out, born and raised in Kansas, still live in Kansas, central Kansas to be exact. Grew up kind of in a small farming community, helped out on the farm in the summers. Actually went to college to be a mechanic. Worked on trucks for 4 years before I came back into the ag world with AGCO. So kind of been around ag my whole life. Worked on it, harvest, corn, not as popular in Kansas as you can imagine. It's kind of dry down there, but kind of just grew up with the agriculture world and went in the truck for a little bit and decided I loved it, so came back.
There you go. So did you dry land corn? Would it have been on pivots or did you have more wheat? What was your area like down there?
We did a lot more wheat than anything. Typically in Kansas, we're seeing some more dry land corn, but typically if you were putting corn in, you were probably going to have it under a pivot.
Okay.
To make sure you get some bushels out of it, actually.
And precision specifically, did a door just open up for you at AGCO, or did you just plan for that?
So I actually went to college, and I told my college teachers that I was never going to work in the ag world again. So I went out and worked on trucks for 4 years, and then an opportunity, my friend actually worked for AGCO, opportunity opened up, and came back into the ag world there. Started out with AGCO and actually in TSS, actually answering phone calls and advising technicians on what to check, what to work on, or what to look at when they had problems. So actually started there with AGCO at TSS and helping technicians resolve issues on machines.
So what pulled you to Parallel Ag? Because you had options.
Yeah, so spent a long time with AGCO and PTX. I was actually there for 9 years. When I took the PTX role for the field focus region manager was my title there. I actually worked with the Parallel team. I was actually their rep for PTX. So worked closely with the Parallel team and the guys that now work with me in the precision technology world, and just got to know the team really well. They're a lot more local which is weird for me to say. I'm in Kansas and we go from the panhandle of Texas all the way up in northern Illinois, but compared to my territory at AGCO, they were a little bit more local for me. Liked the idea of kind of getting out of the more corporate world and coming back into a little bit smaller company, a little bit more personal, and being able to work directly with customers again.
So let's talk PTX. I'm very familiar with the ag leader world. That's the area that I grew up with. But for anyone who doesn't know, talk us through what PTX is and what your role there looked like.
So PTX is actually a pretty new venture for AGCO. I say new, the name is new. The technology inside of the name is not new. So PTX is AGCO's aftermarket branch of the AGCO Corporation. And what's underneath there is essentially your precision planting and Trimble technology. So they brought precision planting and Trimble, put them underneath the same branch. And PTX main's focus is for aftermarket installations for any brand of machine you want to put it on. That's kind of the aftermarket. So when I was there working for them, I was what they call the field focus region manager. So my job was I had dealerships. I covered Colorado South over to Florida was my territory with them. But essentially, I was the main contact for any of the PTX dealers in that region to get a hold of if they had questions on invoicing, if they had questions about quoting machines, how a certain technology worked. I was the main contact for them to reach out to try to get an idea of how a new technology worked, or like I said, any of their invoicing issues, or maybe help with quoting machines and what to put on them. So,
What was the coolest thing you got to work on while you were there?
oh boy, I do a lot of cool stuff. PTX side specifically, Outback was pretty cool. Or not Outback, Outrun. Outrun is their autonomous grain cart solution. So being able to put that on a machine and actually go out and control the grain cart without anyone in the cab, put it under the combine, unload it. It's pretty cool technology. And then as I was leaving PTX was when the autonomous tillage is starting to really pick up now. So being able to see those technologies go out, actually operate, work without someone in the tractor, and being able to control it from your phone or tablet was a pretty cool project.
It's cool, but it's also freaky.
It can be a little freaky when you're looking in your mirror, machine's pulling up underneath your auger to unload, and there's no one in the seat. It's definitely
I can imagine.
a strange experience.
From the OEM seat, what were customers asking for that genuinely surprised you?
From the OEM side, I think the big push with them was always integration. Customers, when technology was first picking up, you could have 3-4 monitors in the cab of a tractor. And I think the modern OE, the modern manufacturer is really looking to push that down to get you into 1, probably 2 displays in the cab at a max. So with the integration of a lot of ISO functionality of the implements, you used to have your own monitor for an implement if it was pulled behind you so you could control the implement, and then you had a guidance screen, and then you had the factory display. So really trying to combine those solutions and make sure you can operate it out of one screen instead of having to have 3 or 4 different screens in the cab is one of the big pushes from a OE perspective.
I mean, I've been in those tractors that have, the 5 screens, and you've got one that probably is an iPad that's streaming something, but I've been in there. I've sat in there, and I cannot, just that whole wall of monitors is insane.
Wall of monitors is what we called it. And, it might not have been bad when we first came out because, you were operating 5, 6, 7-inch monitors. But, from precision planning, we got a 16-inch monitor you can put in the cab now. So the monitors are getting bigger, the technology's getting better, and just trying to bring all of that into a more seamless solution where, you're only operating out of 1 or 2 screens.
Here's what I'm curious about. What does the OEM side get right, and where do dealers have to fill in the gap?
So OEM, the biggest thing they do right is integration, right? You buy a machine with OE guidance in it, it feels like it's meant to be there. It works in their screen. It works with the hydraulic functions. And like I said, it's all integrated. It all works well. The biggest thing that we fill the gap in when you're talking about a aftermarket precision solution is a lot of the OEs have great options for, your guidance. They got headland turn. They have a lot of the features that the standard person would need. But as you start looking into, say, maybe an implement guidance or water management or some of the more advanced features like Outrun and things like that, that's when we step into that more aftermarket world where those guys are a lot more flexible to go and try those things, go and do things that from an OE perspective, we'll get there. The OEs will get there and it'll be integrated eventually. But right now it's that aftermarket solution for a lot of that autonomous options. And like I said, your water managements, your implement guidances, and even some of the OEs already have implement guidance coming out. So all that integration is happening. But as that integration is happening, also the aftermarket technology is pushing the boundary of what we're doing with autonomous solutions and things like that. So there's always more coming out on the aftermarket side than the OE.
So jumping into parallel, what was the first thing that hit you when you actually walked in to join the team here?
So how different, and granted, I kind of knew how different the territory was just from one end to the other, just because I had such a large territory at AGCO or PTX, but jump into parallel, just seeing how truly different after you actually get in and talk to the customers and you get to go out and see what they're doing in the field, how different it actually changes when you go from Illinois to Texas. There is a giant flip in technology, preferred technology brands, preferred ways of operation. It's just, got a lot more swathers down south than we do up in Illinois. Just how much the practices and everything changes when you go from the south to the north.
So what in that footprint that shocked you besides the difference in technology?
So I would say as you head farther south, they enjoy accuracy. You have guys that are running RTK, or you could have a guy that's asking me for a light bar down south.
Really?
Yeah, I have had so many questions about light bars the farther I move south, which to someone from the northern territory is, we don't do light bars anymore, right? Nope. It's got to be RTK. It's got to be sub-inch accuracy. We're planting implement guidance. Like the technology up north is almost mandatory. Whereas when you head down south, where it gets a little flatter, a lot of those technologies, though accuracy is important to a whole bunch of guys down there, I don't want to say that. I mean, they have a big RTK base station down in Texas too. So we have a lot of guys running RTK with cotton and things like that. But just realizing and seeing that there are still a lot of guys out, they're still using light bar guidance. And a lot of the old Trimble systems and ag leader systems that come in that are like, well, I don't really want to update it because this works and I know it, right? So,
the good old Integras.
Yes. The good old Integras, Easy Guide 500s,
so,
you name it.
Not going to age myself, but going to age myself. The first yield monitor that my parents had was a PF Advantage, and you had the little dial to adjust everything. Yeah, when I was a tech, I still had guys. That was when, so it was when Integras were just getting replaced with N-Commands. There were still guys that I would go see that had one of those PF Advantages in central Iowa. It's crazy to see the difference in technology. And then finding the card readers so you could actually print off those maps.
That's always fun. That are getting the receipts from some of the older Gleaner combines. I had receipts where it would print.
Interesting.
So where do you see the biggest opportunity and what made you say yes to this?
So I think the biggest opportunity is technology is always growing. I mean, you see it in computers, you see it in your cell phones, you see it in trucks. Technology isn't going away. We're just growing and getting better and offering more. So some of the biggest advantages or biggest opportunities for us is we have, we offer Ag Leader, we have Raven, we have Trimble, we have precision planning. We have so many options for technology that when you come to Parallel for your technology needs, what we're looking to do is come alongside you and help you make a decision of what technology is going to work best for you. A lot of dealers, they'll have one option, two options, and they're trying to talk you into one of those two options. Where with us, we're here to help you make a decision, but we also want to make sure it's the right decision for your farm. We want to make sure that you're comfortable with the technology you're putting in your tractor and also that it's going to work with the fleet you already have. Because like we talked about with OE integration, that's also important when you're running more than one brand of tractor, right? So being able to get all that information back into one spot so that you can decipher what happened during the year and make decisions based upon that.
Fair.
All right. So where does the Parallel Precision team stand right now, and where do you want it to be in a year?
So right now, my team consists of, I have 6 guys underneath me. I have 2 looking for probably a third from an open position standpoint, looking to continue to grow this team and expand this team as we go forward. But from a precision team standpoint, what I'm looking to do is grow this team so that, like I said, we can be an advisor more than, we sell Trimble, so that's what you're going to buy, right? I want to come alongside our farmers and I want to say, okay, perfect. You're running Ag Leader. That's fine. We have that as an option. Here's our options. Or, even the guys that are running John Deere, right? We got John Deere. Well, we're a Soul Steer. We can do Soul Steer. We can do Reichardt. We can integrate your John Deere guidance into our machines. And that way everything still ports into your ops center. So really wanting to build a culture here that more of a partner with you, trying to make sure we get you in the right technology more than we're just trying to sell you a brand that we support, right? So really trying to keep that open and then expand the team. You know, a lot of, or some companies have started to minimize their precision teams. And I think a lot of that comes from just not growing with the technology, right? So precision teams, when they first came out, we were A/B line. We were going to control your guidance. Like that was all technology was. Where to me now, technology has expanded to not so much the A/B guidelines anymore because it's so integrated into a machine. We've had it for 96 probably. We've had, guidance the early 90s. So it's not so much the A/B lines anymore as it is, hey, I got my harvest data, I got my planting data, and I got my spraying data. I want to put that into a program and I want to see what actually worked, right? I want to see that I applied this chemical and my bushels actually went up, right? So proving out proving out what we're doing in the field by getting that data and pulling it into a farming gauge or your John Deere ops. A lot of guys are running SMS, not Digifarm.
What is the
climate? That one. There's a lot of different options out there, right? And precision planning has theirs also, but being able to bring that into one program, put all that information in one spot so we can start to dissect what actually happened during the season and then make decisions based upon that to produce more crop next year.
That you're speaking to my data mind right there. That was actually my bread and butter when I was in precision technology. In fact, I still help manage about 10,000 acres. And that is literally the root of where I think precision needs to be headed because you're really able to help people identify their cost and income per acre. And that's where, especially in today's market, you're going to wind up finding where your profitability actually is.
Yeah. And I think it's not a big scare, but you have a lot of guys out there that they'll buy one brand of machine because they want it all to come into, like for example, an ops center, or you have an AGCO guy or a Trimble guy that's running Farm Engage now. Used to be a Trimble agriculture software before AGCO purchased it, but you have guys that almost get married to a brand because they want that data. Whereas with where technology is today and where Farm Engage has come and all of the other programs out there where, we can run a fence sprayer with Raven technology on it and I can slingshot that data and put it into a Farm Engage or Op Center for you. I can put it in the Farm Engage. So just trying to make sure that we understand also that just because we're in a brand doesn't mean we have to stay there. We can port this data over. We can get all the data you need into any program you're running. And like I said, if you're running Ops Center, we're more than happy to work with you and help you get your data in Ops Center so that you can see that same kind of breakdown that you would see in a farm program. So really, like I said, try to make sure that we come alongside you, get you in the right tech and get the data where you need it so you can make those decisions.
Are customers already seeing that change, or what change do you think they're going to see first?
I think from a northern perspective, I think we have a lot of guys that are really, they're logging the data. They want to see what happened. They want to see population. They want to see harvest data, and they want to put that all together so they can see how many bushels an acre they got based upon what they did in the field. I think you're only going to see that trend grow. You're going to see that trend continue to head farther south as the technology becomes more normal, or with technology as it comes out, as it ages, it becomes more affordable. So as it becomes more affordable, it's going to become a more feasible option for guys that are outside of the 250 bushel an acre corn world to, start getting into that technology and starting to see the benefits there. Because a lot of the benefits of the technology is being able to decipher what you did and what actually worked and what actually did.
Exactly. So when we're thinking about support and response time, how are you planning on handling those challenges for the team? Because when something goes down, it's down bad. It's never something quick and easy. Yeah.
So one of the big things that we're really starting to get into here, and I'm starting to try to push my team into, and also our service, is remote support capabilities. Most of our third-party monitors, if not all of the third-party monitors, have remote support capability. So being able to use that capability to actually look at your machine and say, okay, say you have a GFX 1060 or 1260 in your display and you're having some guidance issues or something like that, well, let us remote in before we drive an hour or two to your farm to come look at it. Let's remote in and see what's going on. And maybe that will give us a better idea of a part we need to bring, right? So trying to be able to make sure we utilize time and utilize those remote support tools to prevent your downtime, because yes, you got to hook it to Wi-Fi and we have to remote in, and that might take us 45 minutes, but my guy driving 2 hours to you, not having the part, and then driving 2 hours back to the shop and driving back takes more time.
Yep.
So trying to make those processes as simple as possible and try to work on the front side to gather that data so that when we do come to you, we hopefully have the solution on our truck to get you back up and running.
So optimal customer experience, what do you think it is?
Well, everything just works and it never breaks and you never have to talk to me again.
Well, that would ideally.
Ideally, that's how everything would work, right? But our ideal experience is, like I said, you come talk to us. We're your partner. We want to put you in the technology that's going to work best on your farm, whether that be a solution that helps integrate into John Deere Ops. That's a solution that, goes to Farm Engage or the Trimble software if you have all the Trimble displays on your farm, or even Ag Leader, right? Any of those brands, just making sure that we're able to come along and partner with you and put you in the right technology. But even after that, after we put you in the right technology piece, we have programs or promotions that we put out there for remote support or PTX support, where you can buy into a plan and, hey, we cover all of this and that costs you so much a year, right? Trying to get to the point where we can give you a cost of what the service is going to cost. And then, like I said, utilizing when you're down, having a response where, hey, perfect, I know it's not working. Let me remote in. Let me look at it, see what's going on. Maybe it's something I can fix remotely and I don't even have to come see you.
Yep.
Or worst case scenario, hey, perfect, this is probably the issue. I'll make sure I grab one before I come out to you. And then we can do a little bit more research on the front side to get you up and running faster.
So how do you actually measure whether precision is paying off for a customer?
So the big thing with precision is it really depends on where you are in the technology scope to say if something is paying off, right? So if we upgrade your planter and say we put you in a precision planter with downforce, all of that, you're really going to have to get the data back, or we have to go out in the field and we're going to have to do our surveys and our scouting to see, yes, we did have an improved stand. Yes, we got improved bushels, right? But if you're really high in the technology world, or you got the planter with exact emerge, any of that kind of technology on it, that data coming back in is going to be very important to determine what technology might be working and what maybe, we didn't need to do. If you're a guy that, like I got guys out there that are just driving a light bar, if you're out there just using a light bar, I think the first step is you get into a machine that drives for you. And I think the biggest thing you're going to see from that is, you're not as tired at the end of the day. I am as against self-driving vehicles as anyone else. Trust me. I have a 2006 Silverado. That's my truck. I will never get rid of it, right? That's my baby. But also I have a 2025 Silverado that's got, the lane assistant and adaptive cruise on it. I can tell you, after driving 7 hours in that truck compared to 7 hours in my 6, I get out of that 25 and the technology that is in it just takes so much off of me that you feel a lot more energized at the end of the day. And I think that's where a lot of guys are going to see the benefit if they are running a light bar out there still, or even a guidance system that, maybe it's time to upgrade, but it just takes so much off of you as the operator that at the end of the day, you just feel better.
So let's talk to the customer who might feel like they're behind. They know they should be doing more with precision, but they don't know where to start. What should we tell them?
So the biggest thing is, like I said, it really depends on where you feel you're behind. Are you behind that I don't even do auto guide? Or are you behind that, I have auto guide, but I want to step up and do maybe that data management and start collecting that data? And the biggest thing is, the hardest part is just starting and obviously getting into a program. And it doesn't have to be the fanciest program there is. We do from Trimble's side, we still do the easy steers, which is a foam roller that clamps up against your steering wheel and it just spins, right? So we have options to get you into a steering system that's very affordable just to get you in it so you can see the benefits of it, right? But that would be the main thing, is just getting started. And then, like I said, coming to us and just have the conversation with us about where you're at and where you want to be. Because more than likely, we got a solution that, yeah, like I said, you might not need downforce and speed tubes and all of that on your planter, but maybe we can get you into a V drive system and start getting you some of those advancements, and we can build upon that. That's one of the great things about aftermarket technology too, is it's not all or nothing. We can start at the bottom and then we can build on that year over year to get you caught back up.
So what is the difference between what we see, a flashy stuff on a spec sheet, and the stuff that actually moves on the operation? Because there's lots of fancy options out there right now, and I'm saying that just because of the advancements that I've seen in the last 5 years. But what actually, if it goes back to where do they start, what is the one thing that you would have someone start with versus all of the flashy stuff?
So if you're looking for something basic just to start with, any kind of monitor, then you're coming back to what machine are we in? Are we in a sprayer? Are we in a planter? Are we in a tractor just pulling tillage? Right? For a guy that's just got a tractor pulling tillage, maybe he's still guiding by hand, or a lot of those guys anymore are on WAS systems. But a lot of that, where would you start? Like I said, it's really starts with a conversation with us, and just to see what options are out there for you, because we got to understand where you are to advise, right? Now, there's a lot of features out there. I talked about implement guidance a little bit at the beginning. We got water management, things like that. But most people aren't going to be running that. And also, it depends on the territory you're in. You're down south where it's nice and flat, and you probably don't need implement guidance. Whereas if you get into the hills up farther north, implement guidance is nice to make sure all your rows are right and you're keeping the implement where it's supposed to be on that hill instead of the tractor. So, and I think that's another fun thing about precision technology, and what gets me excited, especially with the territory we cover, is there are so many different options out there, so many different guys that are operating in different conditions that, unfortunately, there's not a one-size-fits-all solution in technology. It all depends upon the operation and what you're trying to run.
What's a misconception you hear from growers all the time?
Depends on the territory. So a lot I hear, kind of in the Illinois, I get the feeling a lot of the times, you put tile in, you go out with any planter, you put seed in the ground, it's going to grow 250 bushel corn, which, 80% of the time, 90% of the time, you're probably right. You'll probably get 250 out of it. But if we upgrade that technology and we make your planter get your spacing better, get your depth right on your corn seed, do we take that 250 and bump it to 255? Do we bump it to 260? So the conversation becomes less about, well, I just need to make 250 bushel corn, and it becomes, okay, well, let's capitalize on the dollars you're putting in the ground and upgrade and get you better spacing, get you better emergence, get you better all of that, and let's start increasing your bushels. 250 doesn't need to be the limit. Let's push for 300. Let's keep growing this and utilize every dollar you're putting in the ground and push more bushels out of it.
Speaking of different products, what's available right now that customers should know about?
So the PTX team is putting a lot of work in, and that's precision planting and Trimble from implement guidance. And then we talked about Outrun, the autonomous grain cart solution, autonomous tillage, being able to run a lot of those things. Those are really cool technologies that are coming out that I think are eventually going to become mainstays. But now I'm spacing.
You're fine. I just spaced too. So are there any promos right now that the precision team is running that guys should be jumping on?
So we have a lot of promotions out there. Actually, a lot of our manufacturers from Ag Leader, Raven, Trimble are running technology trade-up programs right now. So really, there really hasn't been a better time for, if you're looking to get into a newer system, to bring me your old technology, or you don't have to bring it to me, but you take a picture, say, hey, this is what I have in my tractor. What's it worth? we got trade up programs that are running up to $5,000-6,000 on used technology that, hey, we'll trade you into a new system. And that's a good opportunity to get you into some of that newer tech, get you into a newer receiver that might have some Iona Guard on it, which protects you from solar activity. We've all experienced some of that where, we lose connection due to a solar flare or something like that. So a lot of these newer technologies, they're starting to compensate for that now and starting to build in guards to help keep you guiding longer when something does happen. That's not to say if we get a really bad solar flare, it's going to shut everything down. It's just how it works.
Yep.
But we can keep you in the field longer than you would be with some of those older receivers and older technology. So, and then, like I said, just being able to see the advancements, of technology and put you in a system that, yeah, you might just be doing a guidance system now. Maybe we trade you up and we get you in a guidance system, but 2 years from now, you decide you want to do implement guidance. Well, perfect. You got a new system. You traded up 2 years ago. Now all we have to do is add this, this, and this to get you to implement guidance or to water management or to, the upgradability of the new systems is great also. Because once you get with technology, as it ages, you get to a point where it works, but you can't really upgrade it, right? You can't really get into the new tech. You can't really get into the new programs, the new widget. So just being in a current guidance system, get those abilities that you might not have with that older system. But yeah, I think right now every one of our manufacturers is running some kind of trade-up program. So if you're running old technology out there and have thought about upgrading, now's the time to bring it into us and see what it's worth. Or like I said, you don't have to bring it to me, but bring me a picture, at least know what's on the machine so we can get you an accurate trade-in value on it. I don't want you to uninstall your guidance system from your machine to bring it to me, right? So,
no, thank you. We don't want to have to go back out and reinstall that.
That's right. I don't want to have to go put it back. I don't want you to have to go put it back. So, but like I said, at least know the model of your screen and your receiver, and we can get you a value of what it is worth on these trade-up programs.
Is there anything new releasing that you're excited about?
So one of the things that, there's a lot releasing that I'm excited about. I'll take a moment to talk about PTX because one of the things they just came out with is AeroTube, which is actually orientating the seed and putting it in the trench a proper way so the leaves sprout row to row instead of over the top of each other. And so that's a real cool technology. Outrun other technologies like that with the autonomous guidance, autonomous tillage capabilities. There's just a lot happening in the precision world and what they're pushing now that, 5 years ago we would have never thought of. But now, we're breaking those boundaries and it's going to become common practice before we know it.
That's the thought of orienting the seed in the row. Number one, blows my mind, but then you can also think about it and think about the benefits that that's going to have because it's going to have your row coverage, which means you're not going to have to go in and do as much chemical spray on weeds. And that's mind blowing. Like I, in a million years, would have never thought that was something that we could solve.
Oh yeah. Well, and it's pretty amazing technology that they got coming out of there. And like I said, just to be able to orientate that seed, put it in the trench properly, but also position it properly. So I forget the word, but it's pointed down. So your emergence is faster. And then most of the time your leaves grow a certain way, depending upon how you orientate that seed in the ground to make that go row to row. So faster emergence. It's going to get more sun on your crop, and the more sun you get, the more water you get.
Yep.
More bushels we produce. So, yeah, just what they're doing in that space it's pretty impressive.
More impressive to me than autonomous tractors, to be honest. So, if anyone's listening and wants to actually take advantage of any of these programs, what do they do and who do they call?
Yeah, so you can reach out to any of our stores, talk to them. What's going to happen? I have 6 guys right now. So the store will probably direct your call to one of my precision team, or they will send us a note and then we will reach out to you and talk to you about the options you have, and what upgrades we can do and any of that kind of stuff. But yeah, just get a hold of any of our stores, any of our locations, tell them, hey, I'm interested in possibly trading in some of my technology, and they'll get you a hold of my team and we'd be happy to talk to you. And like I said, be a partner with you and try to put you in the best solution for your farm.
All right, I feel like we kind of have covered this, but I'm just going to go ahead and ask it again. Zooming out, what are trends that you're watching in the industry right now?
Biggest trends in the industry, I would say, that's kind of hard to answer that. But like I said, precision depends so much on what you're doing as an operator that my trend up here might be different than my trend down south. But I think the biggest trend start to be the adaptation of technology and actually utilizing your data. I think as we start to realize the gains of being able to see how we planted, the chemical we applied, and then what happened at harvest with the bushels, and being able to take those 3 data points and look into it and decipher how we need to change going forward to produce better crop. I think you're only going to see a rise in the need for that and the importance of that. You know, we got a lot more farms today that are talking to agronomists than we ever had before.
Mm-hmm.
It's a trend that's only going to continue as we continue to update technology. And like I said, take that data in so we can make better decisions, right? We're only as good as what we know. So if we don't know what we're doing in the ground and what we're getting out of it and what we're doing, then who's to say that it's actually helping?
Amber, you're up.
Yeah, my bad. I spaced. Maybe. Autonomy, real answer. Are we closer to self-driving tractors or flying cars?
Self-driving tractors. Well, I guess it depends on how you say that too. I think we're a lot closer to self-driving tractors. I think when you talk about flying cars, the biggest hang up you have there is there's a lot more population of cars than there are tractors.
Yes.
Right? And we have the solutions for autonomy now. Fence working real hard on making autonomous tractors. You already have robots out there doing weed work in some fields. We got drones that are out there spraying. So I think autonomy in the agriculture world is coming on a lot faster than the flying car wish.
I wish.
There are flying cars
Right?
out there. I think the logistics of actually putting that in practice with just how many cars and people are out there compared to tractor going to be the hang up.
So what do you think ag is going to look like in 5 years?
I think you're going to see a lot more, like I said, a lot more data collection, a lot more soil sampling. You know, I've seen a lot more guys coming in and doing a lot more soil sampling than we ever have before, just to try to make sure we're putting the right product on there. As you continue to grow, you see our input costs going up from a sprayer standpoint, see and spray, you want to call it that, or any of the camera systems of, hey, we're just going to spray this on the weed to save you chemical. I think you're going to probably continue to see an uptick in those technologies just because it saves you money at the end of the day, and you're only taking care of what you need to, which is to spray the weed. So a lot of the broadcast spraying and stuff like that, I think you're going to see a continued growth and adoption of technology to try to reduce our input costs. Because like I said, the fertilizer and the weed killers and all of that it's getting really expensive. Mm-hmm. And the more we apply that, the more that weed becomes resistant to it. So being able to put less of that product on to maintain its effectiveness is also going to be important.
Yep. All right. I don't know if you've watched or listened to any of the episodes, but we always wind them out with a series of rapid fire questions, and we just rattle them off. And Amber, you're up.
Yes, so these are just quick answers, okay? RTK signal drops midfield when strip tilling. Panic level 1 to 10.
9, 10,
Fair.
12. Definitely on the top of the scale there.
All right, one precision tool every farmer needs but doesn't know it yet.
I mean, auto guide system.
What's one buzzword in precision you're tired of hearing?
Buzzword? Boy. I don't know. Wasn't ready for that.
Did you not read through the document when it was sent to you?
I did read through it. I did.
We don't send the rapid fire questions, Amber.
Oh, true. That's true. Never mind.
I was going to say, I don't remember seeing that. Buzzword. I think it's not really a word, but a conversation is satellite versus RTK base stations, right? There's always a lot of worry that the RTK base stations are going to go away. And in some circumstances, some places they are, but in other places they're growing. So I think when you're talking about RTK to satellite, I think it's a bigger conversation than, you just have to be on satellite. I think, a lot of states are starting up Coors networks, which is government funded base stations. And then you have other states that still have privately held, and you have companies that have owned base stations that went out of business, and the farmers they lost all their signal. So I think that's one of the biggest things there is, if you're talking RTK to satellite, is truly understanding what's happening in your region and whether RTK is a reliable solution for you or whether we do need to start pushing towards satellite.
All right, next question. What's the coolest piece of ag technology you've ever seen?
It's a toss-up between probably autonomous tillage and or AeroTube from PTX. Those two pieces of technology are pretty cool. When I can put a tractor in a field with a tillage tool behind it and tell it, I want you to do this, and drive away from it, and it come back and it's done. That's pretty impressive. But at the same time, orientating a seed and placing it in the trench properly is equally probably as impressive. So
very much so.
Okay.
I would say probably one of those two from what I have personally seen.
All right. Best precision decision a farmer can make with a very small budget.
Very small budget. Like I said, it really depends on where you are in the world of precision, if you have guidance or not. But I mean, if you're still out there operating without guidance, it's just getting any kind of guidance system on it. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. There's so many options, even from just a guidance standpoint. There are so many manufacturers and options out there that even you can put on yourself. You can put any of our systems on yourself. Happy to sell them to you, but just biting the bullet and do it on one machine. And then as you start to see the benefits, you'll start to realize you need it on everything.
All right. Auto steer or kicking it old school, planting by the telephone pole post.
Auto steer all day.
What's the check engine light of precision ag? The warning nobody takes seriously enough.
Well, the hard thing is in precision is typically if it's broken, it's broken. And there's not really a warning for it. It's just broken. So all of them are equally important. I think the biggest thing that I get a lot of people that feel is we're planting and maybe their signal drops out, right? And for a lot of guys, that feels like it's a planter down. I can't plant. I don't know what to do. Well, not to say that we want to plant all 10,000 acres with the wing and putting a mark in the ground, but markers worked for a long time. It'll still work to get you by in a pinch. So the idea that, guidance goes down and we can't plant anymore. Like I said, I know you don't want to plant. Obviously, you don't want to plant as little as possible that way, because I also told you auto guidance is a necessity when planting, right? Just the last question. But, just being able to realize that, we can still do a little work even if the guidance is down. It's not the end of the world.
Okay. What favorite piece of precision tech you wish every customer had?
Every customer had auto guide. Like I said, when I first came into the PTX world, like I was with AGCO for 9 years. I know there's older tractors out there and there's enthusiasts, and we got hobby farmers that just like to go out and they farm. But the amount of farmers that are actually farming, 3 to 6,000, 7,000 acres that are still doing light bar or no auto guide, that was eye-opening to me.
100%.
And like I said, I would consider myself a hobby farmer at this point. None of my machines have auto guide on them, but I'm planting 160 acres just for fun. I don't need a system for 160 acres, and it's all for fun. So,
but you just said everybody needs auto guide.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I would put it on.
You're everybody.
Trust me. Well, I'm breaking my own. Maybe I have to buy one.
Yes.
We just sold them. Can I get commission on this sale, please?
Me too.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay. Rank coffee, hotspot, or GPS. Which one gets cut first?
Sorry, what was that?
Rate or rank coffee, hotspot, or GPS. Which one gets cut first?
Hotspot or GPS?
Or coffee. Which one do
Or
you
coffee.
cut first? Yes. I would say coffee. I'm not a coffee person.
Depends on the day. Coffee's a necessity on some days.
I drink it like once a year when I'm watching Law and Order.
It would probably be coffee for me too.
Yeah.
It's not as, I've gotten off of it here in the past few years, so I don't drink near as much coffee as I used to.
Yeah.
Not me.
Okay.
Coffee all day, every day.
Yeah. My coffee is like 20 things of sugar packets.
It's
and
disgusting.
Like a
I've
lot
seen
of
her.
milk. It's literally like super tan, like light tan. It's not coffee at all.
Like
actually.
the color of my wall behind me.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, same as my wife. I always ask her
Yeah.
if she wants coffee with her sugar. So,
Yeah, no, I don't like coffee. So, all right. What's the most common precision myth you hear?
precision myth? I would say that satellite is not as accurate, or the higher satellite is not as accurate as RTK. Now, you're going to have people out there that really depends, because if you are doing a water management, you really need to be on a base station RTK, because obviously height is different from a satellite to a physical station on the Earth. So there are instances where RTK is what you have to run. And not dispersing that out there, but I have a lot of guys that feel like they have to be on the RTK system to plant. And not to say that RTK is fine, but our high level satellite corrections are so good now that you can do just as good a job with a satellite RTK or RTX subscription as you can with an RTK base station. Now, like I said, not to discount the guys out there that have to run RTK. I get it. There's, you're planting hills, or you're doing any kind of hill planting. Like I said, water management's a big one. Like, you have to be on a base station just for the
height control
right. But for the guys out there that are just planting and, you are worried about your RTK base stations going out, or you're in one of those situations where, like I said, the RTK base station is not what it should be, give satellite a try. It pass accuracy, if you're on the high level, is just as good as your RTK. Now, granted, don't do it in the middle of the season. I'm not out here advocating for that, because the other thing I hear a lot is I went from RTK to satellite, my lines moved.
They're going to move.
They are going to move. The biggest thing you talk about when you're talking RTK to satellite is RTK's base stations on the Earth, right? That GPS position is different when you change the source of where you're getting it from. So if you're getting your GPS position from base stations, it's going to put you at one place on the Earth. Whereas if you get it from the satellite, it might be 2 inches over, right? So if you are going to make a change from like an RTK base station to a satellite correction, do it at the end of the year when you're rolling into the next year before you've put anything in the ground. That way your lines line up. Because you change, like if you're on RTK and you plan on RTK and then you change the satellite to go harvest, it's not going to line up. Now we can recenter and we can fix it, right? You can recenter your lines and you can nudge them and we can make it work. But you will see when you go from RTK to a satellite correction, you will see a little bit of change there in your line. And that's, like I said, that's just part of changing where you get your GPS location from.
All right. Would you rather your auto steer randomly cuts out once a day, or your radio only plays one song all season? Like, depends on the song.
Man, yeah. What's the song that I got on? I would probably say my radio, because can I turn the radio off, or do I have to listen to it?
You have to listen to it.
Boy,
And it's like the song you hate the most.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'd probably steer by hand then.
But it only cuts out once a day, so you don't know how long it's going to be.
That's true. Yeah. I'd probably get rid of the radio.
Fair. All right. Auto steer or cruise control? Which one do you trust more with your life?
That's hard, because you don't really auto steer on the road, right? I definitely don't trust cruise control, because if you don't pay attention to cruise control, you're going to hit something. Whereas a tractor with auto guide, it's steering for you, right? So, and it's going to beep at you before you run outside your field if you have it boundaried. So it's going to warn you before things happen.
Technically, if all goes well.
Yeah. If you have a boundary on your field and it's set up, it will beep at you, and you then turn the volume down because you got tired of hearing the blade beeper.
And then you're
So
going to
I've done
drive
it.
through the boundary into a ditch, and then it's going to be a whole deal.
But I'd
A whole
rather drive
mess.
into a ditch than the back end of another car.
True. So auto steer is your answer. I feel like auto steer has been your answer for every question.
Yeah.
Takeaway. Shawn
There you go.
says we need auto steer.
Yes.
You need auto steer. And like I said, I mean, every day the percentage of people that aren't running auto steer gets smaller. Your high majority of farmers out there are running some kind of auto steer system already. So, most people that are probably listening are, well, I already do that. Well, it's very true. And you are part of the majority if you're running auto steer at this point. So,
All right. Did we miss anything that you want to touch on that wasn't in the notes?
no, but I think I'll go out and reiterate, the trade-up programs that I have right now from, like I said, basically every manufacturer that we support. They're very competitive. They want to see you guys come into the new technology so you can upgrade and get into the 21st century of technology, as we would say. So just a lot of encouragement there just to even reach out and see what we got. All right. There's no commitment, right? We'll price you anything you want without a commitment. So just reach out, see what that old stuff's worth, and maybe we can get you into a new technology system because, like I said, a lot of the prices I'm seeing on these trade-up programs are very competitive. And that even goes for like 382. AGCO just end of life, and they have a trade-up program to get you into a 482 receiver. So even if you have a factory guide machine from AGCO or Fendt that, has an older 382 receiver on it, I got a trade-up program for that to get you into a 482. So like I said, there's about every single option out there right now. They got trade-ups. So
Good to know. As we talked about today, precision technology isn't just about the newest equipment or the flashiest feature. It's about having the right people behind it and knowing what actually moves the needle for your operation and having a dealer team that can support it when it counts. That wraps up this episode of The Parallel Path. Thank you for spending some time with us today. If you enjoyed the conversation, make sure to follow the podcast wherever you listen so you don't miss the next episode. And if there's a topic or guest you'd like us to cover, we'd love to hear from you. We'll see you next time on The Parallel Path.